And you can see both quarterbacks played outstanding in that game. Big play, the 80-yard touchdown pass to Julio Jones. And moments ago, Tony Gonzalez.
Playoff bound, got to finish strong. They say this game means nothing. Yeah, right. Got to play strong, got to finish strong. Take it into the playoffs. That's how you win.
Well, Tony Gonzalez is a very wise man. You know how much the playoffs mean to him. He wants to win a championship in the worst way. This Atlanta Falcons team feels that same motivation. This team's ready to play. I think they're going to play hard today. I think they'll play well.
Jacquizz Rodgers in the end zone. The Falcons won the toss and they'll receive. And Michael Kanan played most of his career with the Falcons kicking off, and it's returnable for Rodgers out on the 3. And Rodgers is tackled right about the 15-yard line by Dakota Watson. So Matt Ryan coming out and going to the Pro Bowl for the first time. And how about the last 2 weeks? My partner says near flawless. Yes, 7 touchdowns and no interceptions.
He's been brilliant, and Matt Ryan has played well all year. 5 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter. Matty Ice, he's earned that nickname this year, to be sure.
And the first down from the 15 for the Falcons. Only other team undefeated at home. Seattle also 7-0. They play later. And the first play is a slant to Julio Jones, and Jones appears to have a first down with Leonard Johnson on the coverage. The Atlanta offense, and the big improvement there, John, has to be the 3 prolific receivers. What years they've had.
Well, Mike Smith refers to these guys as the big 3. 2 receivers over 1,000 yards, only team in the NFL, and Tony Gonzalez just 111 yards back. Matt Ryan says about that crew, we feel like we have 3 legitimate number 1s.
And this is a tough one right now. Lavonte David, the rookie who has been one of the great stars, slow getting up. David has led the team in tackles. Johnson hit him first.
See Lavonte David finish him off, and that ball looks like it hits him right in the gut. Looks like he's okay.
Goes to the sideline on his own power, and it is a first down. So Lavonte David, 2nd-round draft pick from Nebraska, and Najee Good, another rookie from West Virginia, has replaced him. So a first down at the 25. Rodgers is the tailback. Fake a flip to Rodgers, and here is Matt Ryan. Doesn't see anyone downfield, gets a fake, and picks up a little more than 5 yards on the play. The Tampa Bay defense, and what continues to amaze, John, is the amazing contrast between the Bucs defense against the run and the pass.
Well, how can you be so good at one thing and so bad at the other? But they are number 1 in every category in rush defense, and historic in how bad their pass defense is. It starts up front with Gerald McCoy, a fine player. Lavonte David has been excellent in his rookie year, and Rondé Barber in his 16th year. Incredible.
And the Bucs call a timeout, and by the way, they've had problems in the secondary, and Eric Wright, coming back from suspension after 4 games, was not activated for this game. So Wright is not in there. No score. Early timeout. And Lavonte David out for 1 play, back in there. 2nd down and 5 after the Bucs timeout, and the handoff is to Michael Turner. And Turner loses a couple of yards on the play, and David is there to make the tackle. So it'll bring up 3rd down.
That's an element of the offense for the Atlanta Falcons that you might criticize. 28th in the league coming in. Michael Turner, in an effort to have him fresh for the playoffs, less carries than he's had as an Atlanta Falcon. He's averaged over 300. He's at 216 this year. They've done it on purpose. They hope it pays dividends in the postseason.
They have Rodgers in there now on 3rd and 7. And this is a good 3rd down conversion team. 3rd and 7. Kind of a new look offense for the Falcons. Here's the pressure put on. Matt Ryan gets hit as he throws, but completes it to Tony Gonzalez, and a first down to the 43. So Ryan hung in there impressively and has a 15-yard gain to Gonzalez. First down.
Well, when you think of Matt Ryan, you think of command of the offense. Watch Jaquiz Rogers on the blitz pickup. He's got mouthpieces flying. And then Matt Ryan finds Tony Gonzalez. 3 weapons that are so potent in third down. He can go to Roddy White, he can go to Julio Jones, or he can go to the surefire Hall of Famer, Tony Gonzalez. Excellent third down team are the Atlanta Falcons.
Now Michael Turner back in. So right now, alternating running backs is Mike Smith with the Falcons. First down, and here is Ryan, and Ryan going on top for Roddy White, and thrown a bit behind him, and covered downfield by Rondé Barber. Barber switching from corner to safety this year, was on White all the way as Ryan tried to go deep.
That's an element of the Atlanta offense that Dirk Cutter, the new offensive coordinator, has brought. They're more aggressive. They take more shots. They go after people, and they have the guys to do it with Julio Jones and Roddy White.
There's Dirk Cutter. 5th in scoring offense. Nearly 27 points a game for the Falcons. Turner is the back on 2nd and 10. Turner going left. And Turner picking up about 4. Lazarius Livingston making the tackle on Michael Turner, who's had 100 fewer carries this year, and certainly you've got to say rested coming in.
And here we talk about the Atlanta Falcons on third down, 2nd in the league. But you look at the distribution, you look at the options Matt Ryan has. Roddy White with 25 catches, Gonzalez with 24, and oh yeah, you've got Julio Jones. That's why they're so good. Then the quarterback's got to deliver, and Matt Ryan does it as well as anyone.
Harry Douglas is in motion wide to the right, to the bottom of your screen on 3rd and 6. Ryan's pass caught short of the first down. Roddy White is hit, and it was E.J. Biggers. Buccaneers, of course, have had problems in the secondary. Akeem Talib now with New England, and Eric Wright were the starters originally.
And that's what good pass defenses do, is they let the guys catch it in front of them, but then they play the sticks, and you sit there at the sticks as E.J. Biggers does, and you make a good, sure tackle on Roddy White. Roddy White, a tough receiver, gets right back up.
So Matt Bajer in the kick, and Roscoe Parrish is back deep for Tampa Bay. Laquan Lewis had been the return man, but he has been released. So it's Parrish doing both. And a fair catch called for by Parrish, the former Buffalo Bill, at the 10-yard line. So the Falcons get a first down, and that's all Tampa Bay goes on offense.
You see Greg Schiano, and Greg Schiano, one thing you learn about him, he coaches everybody, offense, defense, special teams. He's in it. He's encouraging his guys. He likes that first series. And at the end of this, he says, all day, we'll see. That's their challenge.
A lot of expectations to live up to with Greg Schiano in his first year. And here is Josh Freeman and the Falcons starting from the 10 with their first possession of the game. Play action to Martin, and Freeman's pass underneath to Williams, who was pushed out of bounds, picking up about 7. So Josh Freeman, he's had his moments this year, but certainly not the last 2 games when he has just 1 touchdown and 8 interceptions.
And here's the deal with Josh Freeman. I think he's got all the tools to be a franchise top-level quarterback. He's at his best when he lets it go. He tells us in these production meetings, I got to trust my training and let it go. It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it. He's got to do that on a consistent basis to become the quarterback he can be and needs to be.
And not force things and relax. Easier said than done. 2nd down and 4. And here is Freeman on the rollout, and the pass caught at the 32 for a first down. Mike Williams with the catch for 16, and our first game break of the day. Here is Kurt Menefee.
Interesting start to the Giants and Eagles. Philadelphia recovered an onside kick to begin the game, but then Michael Vick threw an interception on the first possession. That set up the Giants' first touchdown. Eli Manning to Ruben Randall, 7-0 Giants with the win and a lot of help make the playoffs, but they're off to a good start. Vic and John.
All right, Kurt, Giants losers of 3 of their last 4, including a 34-0 pasting of the Falcons here. First down at the 32, and the handoff is to Martin. And Martin pushes it out to the 35. Vance Walker makes the tackle. Well, the last two games for Freeman, I guess, John, reflects the inconsistency of the offense this season.
Well, and here's the deal. When you turn the ball over in this league, you don't win. They were really good weeks 1 through 14 with only 12. The last 2 weeks, worst in the league, 10 turnovers. You can't win football games in the NFL when you're turning the ball over. We just saw Philly do it. It leads to points. It's not good.
Second down and 6. With 5 receivers, and there's a wide receiver screen to the running back, Martin. And he'll get a first down to the 44. Weatherspoon making the tackle, and let's take a look at the Atlanta defense, John. It can be deceiving if you just look at where they're ranked in most of the categories.
And it's kind of symbolic of their whole team. They're not at the top and everything, but they're really good. And you see 23rd overall, that doesn't look good. Points is what matters. They're 4th in the NFL. And why? Because they take the ball away. Up top of the league in turnovers as well. This team is well coached by Mike Smith. Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator, has done a tremendous job with this unit.
On first down, here is Martin breaking the hole off left tackle. Martin with a first down, gets into Atlanta territory inside the 40-yard line. And a gain of 19 for Doug Martin, who's cooled off a bit after a brilliant rookie season thus far.
You're going to watch Jamon Meredith, the left guard, pull around, and blocked by Stalker, the tight end. Big hole, and you give Doug Martin space like this. This kid is a special football player, has played at a high level throughout his entire rookie season.
First down now for the Bucs on the Falcons 38. They'll run it again with Martin, and Lord blocking in front of him, and Martin went right into Dante Robinson, bounced off him and got an extra yard to the 35, where he picks up 3 tough yards, and Robinson shaken up for the Falcons.
I think Dante Robinson, one of the most physical corners in the league, just knocked himself out. Came up on Doug Martin, but at the end of the play, you got to keep that head up, Dante. One of the most physical corners in the league, as I said. But keep that head up, or you're going to end up getting the worst of it.
And he replaced Brent Grimes, who played 1 game before going on the injured list. And we'll take a break right now. No score. Dominic Franks has replaced Dante Robinson. And here is the pass out to Williams. And Williams gets to the 30-yard line. A couple of yards shy of the first down, but he does get 5.
Dante Robinson has gone into the locker room to be checked, but you watch him here, and he learns what a lot of the league, as you see him stumble to the ground, has learned about Doug Martin. He looks 5'9", you think little guy, 220 pounds, chiseled. This guy's a tough guy.
And now Asante Samuel is hurt, and he is slow getting up. And so here is Samuel, who has done so much at corner, coming over from the Philadelphia Eagles, and already 2 defensive backs have been hurt, both starting corners for Mike Smith.
You're going to run out of corners. You see Dante come in, and he's had a shoulder injury throughout this year, has kind of played through it. It looks like that right shoulder took the brunt of that hit on Mike Williams.
So Robert McClain has replaced Samuel, and Franks in for Dante Robinson. This is the worst case scenario early on for the Falcons, to have 2 corners hurt in the first quarter of the game. Meanwhile, the Bucs have a 3rd down and 2. There was Franks. Tampa Bay 3rd and 2. And here is Freeman, and the pass is batted down by John Abraham. So once again, the Buccaneers, who drove into Atlanta territory, will have to settle for a field goal try here, and Connor Barth will come on.
And this has been a problem of late for Josh Freeman, who stands 6'6". He's been getting a lot of balls batted down. John Abraham going to come off the corner. Unaccounted for. Josh Freeman's got to throw off him, a little tick late with the throw, and Abraham deflects it.
48-yard try for Barth, who has missed 5 this year. Trying to put the Buccaneers in front. And this kick is good. Just makes it over the crossbar. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take a 3-0 lead. Abraham right in the face of Freeman, bats it down. Tampa Bay, and Greg Schiano's draw in front. So, John, Mike Smith has already lost 2 corners, and everyone says, well, you got to rest your players so they don't get hurt before the playoffs.
Well, I would tell you, just look at the last couple of years. A 4 seed and a 6 seed has won it, and I think a large part of that is the 1 seeds, 2 seeds sit at home for that bye week, which is a good thing, but you lose your rhythm, you lose your momentum, what got you there. Instead, you got to play, and if you get injured, you get injured. You don't want that to happen, but you got to play.
Rodgers from the 3. And Rodgers with a good return brings it out just shy of the 30-yard line. Lord makes the tackle. 25-yard return. Matt Ryan takes center stage again. Falcons start the series on the 28, trailing 3-0. Play action. Ryan drills it, and it's caught by Roddy White. And a first down to the 42. And a pickup of 14. Well, neither one of these quarterbacks shy about pushing the ball downfield thus far.
Not at all. Not at all. And I think, you know, you mentioned Dirk Cutter again. I think that's another element that they brought with Matt Ryan is the ability to push the ball downfield. He works so adeptly in the pocket, gets it to those big-time receivers.
First down, here is Rodgers. Rodgers, he's got the speed into Buccaneer territory, and another first down to the 42 of Tampa Bay. Game break time, Kurt Menefee.
Well, the Falcons have wrapped up the #1 seed in the NFC. Houston, with a win, can do the same in the AFC, but the Colts are thinking otherwise. Kobe Fleener with a touchdown in Chuck Pagano's first game back from Andrew Luck. 7-0 Indy with the lead. Dick and John.
Boy, what a great story that is.
Yeah, what a sight to see him on the field. Congratulations to Chuck Pagano. What a story in Indianapolis.
Jason Snelling, who's just come into the game, nearly broke 2 tackles, picks up about 8 yards as he gets to the 35, where Mark Barron, the rookie strong safety, makes the tackle, a gain of 7. So the 16-yard pass setting up this run, and now the Falcons threatening. And what a year for Mark Barron. He's going to be a keeper, #1 pick out of Alabama.
Well, his potential's limitless. He's been quiet the last couple of weeks, last 5 or so weeks, but this guy is a big-time football player.
Second down, flip it to Snelling. Snelling will have the first down, and finally tackled at the 26. Good block by Todd McClure, the center, and a 9-yard gain. Falcons are moving.
We talk about the big 3, but the Atlanta Falcons throw a lot more at you than just those guys. And Jason Snelling's one of those guys. He has a role on this team. He's not on the field much, but when he comes in, good things happen. A valuable player, can play halfback, can play fullback. Good football player.
And Jacquizz Rodgers replaces Snelling, so the Falcons using all of their running backs. First down, and here's Roddy White. And Roddy White getting close to the first down, chased by Leonard Johnson, the cornerback. Very close, maybe just a bit short.
The Atlanta Falcons make the big trade for Julio Jones last year, make a bold move, and you think Roddy White is going to kind of be phased out of that #1 role, but no, he's had, in my mind, his best year ever. Came into today with 87 receptions, 15-yard average. He's playing and playing well.
They did get the first down, so it's a first down on the 16. And Michael Turner comes into the game. Play fake, and getting hit, lofting it, incomplete. And Levante David, who was shaken up early, has come on and made his presence felt as he hit Ryan, who had to just get rid of it and threw up a wobbler.
Well, you watch the suddenness of Levante David. The great linebackers, the great defensive players have an ability to close and close in a hurry, and that's exactly what Levante David does all over the field. He's been an outstanding find for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and will be a special player moving forward.
You look at those young players that the Buccaneers have to build on defensively. That's been an area that has been the weak point. 2nd and 10 from the 16. A fake, Pressure, and Ryan just trying to get rid of it for an incompleted pass, and apparently was able to do so. And Carl Cheffers, and a flag goes down, and the look for intentional grounding by Greg Schiano and the Buccaneers.
The key is the ball's got to get back to the line of scrimmage and past the line of scrimmage. And
intentional grounding, number 2, offense. Although he was out of the pocket, the ball did not get back to the line of scrimmage. 10-yard penalty, loss of down, 3rd down.
Good call by the officials. Ball didn't get back to the line of scrimmage. Is the right call.
So that is a loss of down. What great success, especially here at the Georgia Dome, as Mike Smith and Matt Ryan enjoyed. 33-6 is Smith's record in this building, and 33-4 for Ryan. And the officials still in conference.
And Dick, that's a sight, that yellow flag, that you won't expect to see a whole lot of with Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons. As you see Matt Ryan being hit, is the penalties, because they have the fewest penalties in the National Football League.
There's no penalty on the play. Receiver number 83 was in the area. 3rd down.
Well, Harry Douglas was in the area, and that is stretching it a bit. But he was in the area. He was in the state of Georgia.
See Harry Douglas out in the flat right about here. And if there is a receiver in the area, like on a screen pass, the quarterback doesn't have to get the ball back. They conference. They get it right in their mind, and we'll see.
Technically, that's the rule. 3rd down and 10. Jacquizz Rodgers now to the right of Matt Ryan. Alternating running backs on every down on the Falcons. Here is Ryan stepping up. He's going to run for it, and he'll be tackled by Rondé Barber at the 10. He'll be shy of the 1st down, and Matt Bryant will come in to try a field goal and tie the game. The ageless one.
The ageless one, Rondé Barber, always making plays. You put him at safety, you put him at corner. He's played the nickel back this year, playing a lot of dime as the 6th defensive back. But the one thing he's always done is make plays. He's continued doing his 16th year. Outstanding, outstanding football player.
Matt Bryant will try the 28-yard field goal. And the Falcons looking to tie the game with under 2.5 to play in the opening quarter. And Matt Bryant does that. 3-3 the score. He's still playing, and you're up here now, huh? You guys made a great team. Well, one of the great successes of the Atlanta Falcons, the fact that they really watch themselves when it comes to committing penalties.
You look at it, each and every year inside the top 10, 3 of the years number 1. And Mike Smith will tell you it's because it's a legitimate emphasis point. On Wednesdays, every Wednesday, the first thing they get is get together as a team. They go through every penalty. It's an emphasis point. They study and track officials. Carl Cheffers today, they know the tendencies of his crew. They emphasize it. As a result, it gets done. They're always at the top of the league in fewest penalties.
Well, for an update on the Falcons' injuries to their cornerbacks, let's bring in Jennifer Hale.
Well, Dick, it is good news for Asante Samuel. Falcons trainers say it's just a bump on the arm, and we will see him back in the game here very shortly as the Falcons team takes the field. As far as Duncan Robinson, we'll have to wait and see. The trainers feel like he needed further evaluation for possible head and neck injuries. Dick, when he headed into the locker room, Robinson kept pointing to the back of his neck. That seems to be the source of pain right now.
All right, Jen, thanks for the update. So Roscoe Parrish is back deep, and Matt Bodger will kick off for the Falcons. All-time 3-3. Final minutes of the first quarter, and Parrish returning and gets clobbered shy of the 20-yard line, and still feeling it. Charles Mitchell, the rookie from Mississippi State.
Watch Charles Mitchell come in and explode on Roscoe Parrish. Textbook tackle. Special teams, these guys earn their money. A physical game out there.
3-3 to score. Tampa Bay Buccaneers trying to finish at 7-9 on the year. They have lost 8 in a row in December. That's the longest active streak in the league. And Asante Samuel back in action, as Jennifer Hale indicated. He's a quarterback, first down at the 18. Play action for Josh Freeman. Freeman got time and looking deep, and this pass up for grabs, and it was intended for Jackson, and Asante Samuel covering there. Incomplete, second down and 10.
That's one thing Greg Schiano said from the start. We're going to throw the ball, and when we do, we're going to get our money's worth. We're going to throw it downfield. That ball came out of Josh Freeman's hand not well. Vincent Jackson does a great job of going up and making sure that's not an interception. Darn near catches it.
So Samuel back in, and Dominique Franks is the other corner right now for the Falcons. Second down and 10 from the 18, and the pitch to Doug Martin. And getting him from behind, Akeem Dent. Game break time once again. Kurt Menefee.
Well, it may be too little too late, but the Giants are looking like defending Super Bowl champs today against the Eagles. Eli Manning's third touchdown pass in the first quarter, hooking up with David Wilson, 15 yards on the score. It's 21-0. We've said it before, we've said it many times. Giants need a win and a lot of help. Dick?
They need 3 teams to lose. One of them will be the Bears, but they're winning in their game. 3rd and 8, DJ Ware, the third down back in there for Tampa Bay. 3rd and 8 from the 20. Here's Freeman, and Freeman's pass is caught, and it's Tyquan Underwood, and a first down, and he was free, found the seam, and a first down to the 37.
And you give the credit in these 3rd and longs. If you can protect a quarterback like Josh Freeman, he can make some things. That's a perfect pocket. You see the shape of that all day long for Josh Freeman to throw. He steps up, finds his target, and delivers an accurate throw. Nice execution by the Buccaneers offense.
And good protection, too, for Freeman. Underwood with a 17-yard grab and a first down to the 37. Freeman still looking. And it's tipped. Akeem Dent got a hand on it.
It's really interesting. You talk to Greg Schiano about Josh Freeman and his inconsistent. For a month in October, he was the best thing going in this league, the hottest offense. And he talks about Josh chasing the game instead of just letting the game come to him. And really a model for that is Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's a guy who lets the game comes to him, plays aggressively, attacks the field. And just talk about Josh, do your job and the plays will happen.
You see in the losses, 10 more interceptions than in the victories. Second down and 10. Under a minute remaining in the first quarter. 2nd and 10, and here is Martin. And Martin picks up a couple of yards.
You know, Dick, Greg Schiano comes in, and one thing that they identified right away, we got to decide, is Josh Freeman our franchise quarterback? He's shown glimpses that he is, but then you look at the last 2 weeks and other points of the season where it just hasn't been consistent, and that's what the great ones do, is they do it consistently. Josh Freeman's got to answer that question. I think he's the guy moving forward, but he's got to do it and do it on a regular basis for this team to get where they need to get.
Of course, they'll have the same improved offense with receivers and backs. Martin next year. 3rd down and 9. Could be the final play of the first quarter, and Freeman's pass is caught by DJ Ware or Luke Stocker, and Stocker makes the grab, and that will be the last play of the first quarter.
The end of the first quarter.
7 at the end of the first quarter. We're all tied 3-3. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after these messages. Start the second quarter here at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. Dick Stockton along with John Lynch and Jennifer Hale tied at 3-3. Bucs came up short, so it'll be 4th and 1, and Michael Keenan will be kicking. Harry Douglas back to return a punt for only the 2nd time this season. Good hang time and a fair catch by Douglas inside the 10. Well, Friday, one of the best bowl games of the year is on Fox as Heisman Trophy winner and one of the most talked about players in the country, Johnny Manziel, leads 9th-ranked Texas A&M against the 11th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners. The AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic is Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox.
Nick, we see that last series that just culminated in a punt for the Buccaneers and Josh Freeman, and you say, darn it, we didn't get a first down. But Greg Schiano talked about it. Boring approach is okay. Punting is okay. That's what Josh Freeman's got to get through his mind. You see the great ones, and they do that. You trust the system, and it works out.
First down, and the handoff is to Michael Turner. And Turner is tackled by Levante David. By the way, the report Jennifer had, Asante Samuel, as we know, came back into the game, but Dante Robinson is out for the rest of the game with a head injury. 1-yard gain, and it'll be 2nd down and 9. 3 wide receivers, and Julio Jones lines up. But hit immediately is Roddy White by Leonard Johnson, and limits the Falcons to a gain of 3.
Good tight coverage by Leonard Johnson there on Roddy White, and you think, all right, why is this pass defense so bad? I can tell you this, pass defense starts up front, and you're looking at the Buccaneers defense that only has 25 sacks coming in today, 30th in the NFL. That's got to get better, and then this defense is very demanding on the corners. They put them in a lot of one-on-one situations. Akeem Talib's not here. Eric Wright, those were your starting corners. You're playing with backup guys in an extremely demanding system on corners.
So the deck was stacked against him for the Falcons. 3rd down and 6, and here is Ryan going underneath and completes to Jacquizz Rodgers, and he is, let's see where they spotted, looked like he was well short of the first down. Not sure where the official coming in is Levante David with help from Anthony Gator brings down Rodgers. He is short of the first down, and so Matt Bodger will come in and kick it away again in this 3-3 game early in the 2nd.
And both teams taking that boring approach of just checking it down, not going to make a mistake, and it's just going to be a test of wills. And then who's going to make the first big play? Explosive plays is what's going to win this game. Takeaways as well.
Bodger will be kicking from inside his 10, and Roscoe Parrish looking for the return and good field position. Buccaneers coming in to try to block this one. Here is Parrish. Good kick, though, on the 26, and Parrish will step out of bounds beyond the 35-yard line. It's been a defensive struggle. Both teams making timely defensive plays. Pair of field goals, 3-3. We'll be right back. Well, the varsity established in the 1920s, still going strong here in Atlanta. Falcons have been going strong all year to a 13-2-2. First down, Bucs on their 36. Here's Doug Martin, and Falcons were ready for him. They'll lose about 3, and it was Stephen Nicholas who's having an outstanding year. First one in.
You talked to Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. They bottled Doug Martin, who was hot at the time, up in their first matchup, kept him to 50 yards, and he said, with us, John, we're not the sturdiest and the biggest team. We got to rely on team defense. That's what he wanted to see from his guys today. He wanted them to play together and test their maturity in a game that doesn't mean anything. Can you make it mean something?
2nd down and 12. Freeman stepping up, and the pass caught by Stocker, and Stocker with a leap after he gets the first down right at midfield. So Luke Stocker with his 2nd catch and a 17-yard pickup.
Here's Luke Stocker, and you see him at the end of the play. Dominique Franks, corners tend to go low on these big tight ends. Well, Luke Stocker says, you go low, I'm going high. Good athleticism by Stocker, who's been playing better of late, been more involved in the offense. They expected that in his first year. It didn't show up. It's starting to show up. Comes at different times for different players.
Backs up Dallas Clark. So on first down, play action. Pressure in, and wide open is Luke Stocker again. And Stocker getting into Falcon territory. He was at the 49, but now inside the 25. Akeem Dent putting pressure on Freeman, who handled it beautiful on the comeback pass.
Beautiful play action. That attracts. People are going to be attracted to Doug Martin, as successful as he's been. Luke Stocker kind of hangs out, comes across the line of scrimmage, and then sneaks out. Great execution by Mike Sullivan, the offensive coordinator. Great design by the Tampa Bay offense.
And a 26-yard gain, and the Buccaneers have a first down on the 23 of the Falcons. And here is a play action, and Loring, the fullback, is open, and Loring appears to have another first down for Tampa Bay.
You like the rhythm, you like the misdirection of this Tampa Bay offense right now. They're an offense that at times this year has almost gotten predictable. It's going to be the run, and then we're going to chuck it downfield. But here's some different things. Get the ball out of Freeman's hands. Put your quarterback in a rhythm by shorter, quicker throws. Move the pocket. It's starting out well for the Buccaneer offense here today.
12-yard gain and a first down at the 11. So the Bucs can get a first down without getting a touchdown. Here's Martin, and Martin picks up 1 yard. Buccaneers coming in, by the way, you talk about their inconsistent offense, needing only 22 points to become the all-time franchise record for scoring. They have 3, so only 19 left. So with this newfangled offense and taking shots downfield, they have put up the points.
They have. They've had streaks where they've been as good as anyone, but streaks where they haven't been very good. But one area Atlanta is really good is in the red zone as a defense. People move the ball, kind of that bend but don't break. No panic in their defense. They try to keep them out of the end zone.
Second down and 9, and Martin trying to crash inside and gets to about the 8. Vance Walker, number 99, got a piece of him in a 2-yard gain. And that'll bring up third down for the Buccaneers.
One thing I know from studying football, being in this league for a long time, the characteristics of top defenses, Super Bowl, championship defenses, it's not always the yards. Mike Smith calls them empty calories, but you keep people out of the end zone, you do well. Fourth in scoring are the Atlanta Falcons, so forget about the yards. Look at the points, and that's what tells you what a defense you have.
Tell people about empty calories. Third down and 7. They've got to get to the 1-yard line. And here is Freeman. Freeman in trouble, spins around, throws to Williams. Did he have both feet in? Touchdown is the call. And the officials waiting to see. He saw the 2 feet in, wanted to see if Williams still had control, and an 8-yard touchdown pass to Mike Williams gives the Bucs the lead.
Watch Josh Freeman. This is what can make him special at times. The ability to extend the play, keep his eyes downfield, and then fire a strike to Mike Williams. And you look at the Atlanta defense, Asante Samuel, you just hard to cover a guy like Mike Williams for that extended period of time. Josh Freeman, that's big-time quarterbacking right there.
Having a career year is Mike Williams, coming off a 7-catch, 132-yard game last week against the Rams, and a touchdown there. Connor Barth looking to add the extra point. With 8:43 to go in the half, and it's 10-3. We were talking to Mike Williams. The first thing he said was Vincent Jackson, didn't he?
Vincent Jackson has made Mike Williams and this entire team a better football team.
There's the Buccaneers scoring drive, and Luke Stocker, the backup tight end, 2 catches for 43 yards. Mike Williams with the touchdown reception. And the Bucs take a 10-3 lead for Williams' 9th touchdown catch of the year. Michael Kanan will be kicking. Jacquizz Rodgers, who has run out 2 thus far. This time it'll be the touchback, and the Falcons will get it out at the 20. Well, the whole idea for the Falcons, the playoffs, they haven't won in 3 tries. Cardinals won in the rookie year for Ryan and Smith. And then in 2010, Green Bay here beat them 48-21. And then last year, a wild card game ugly loss to the Giants 27-2. Lost the last 2 playoff games to eventual Super Bowl champs, but they got to get the monkey off their back this year.
They do, but they're undeterred in doing it. They went out, they made some changes at the coordinator position that I think will help them. I believe this is a different Atlanta Falcons football team that's set up for success in the postseason.
From the 20, great catch made by Roddy White. He'll be a yard shy of the first down, but he had to battle a defender there.
Had to battle Rondé Barber. Tremendous matchup. You see Barber reading Matt Ryan's eyes as he's done so well throughout his career. But that connection right there, Ryan to White. Ryan, as you see him hand to Jacquizz Rodgers.
Rodgers tackled from behind by Mason Foster, and a flag is down back at the 35-yard line. This is the first penalty of the game.
Illegal block in the back, number 11. 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down. So
Nullify the 12-yard gain by Rodgers, and Julio Jones, illegal block in the back.
And here's Julio Jones working on E.J. Biggers. He's going to go inside. Oh, I don't know about that.
Neither does the crowd.
Yeah. So I think on Wednesday morning when they go over that penalty report, Mike Smith might give Julio a pass on that one.
And he will go over that report, as you mentioned. Great restraint by the Falcons in not committing penalties this year.
They don't beat themselves. They make other people beat them.
Second down and 5 from the 25. Ryan with the deep drop and the deep pass. Jones knocked away, and a terrific play by Ahmad Black. And for a game break, let's check it again with Kurt Menefee.
Well, Michael Vick's first start since week 10 due to those concussions, and this is his first touchdown pass since then. 7-yarder to Jeremy Maclin makes it a closer game, 21-7, Giants with the lead, but New York knocking on the door inside the 10-yard line, trying to get more in a must-win game for them. Dick and John.
All right, Kurt, thank you very much. And Ahmad Black, who made the defensive play on Jones, shaken up.
You see Matt Ryan throw one up there, and he'll do that because he has confidence in his guys that it's going to be them or no one else. And Ahmad Black comes down funny on that right knee, right ankle.
And still tending to him as we take a timeout with the Bucs up by 7. Third down and 5. Tandy is in for Black. And the pass caught for the first down to Harry Douglas. 10-yard gain. Well, you know, a lot of people not all on board with the Falcons, which is amazing at 13-2. Why do you think that they're a different team, a better team, and could get where they want to go?
I think it starts with the quarterback, Matt Ryan. I think he's a better player than he's been throughout his career. He's stronger physically. He talked about that throughout the offseason. You see him in the no huddle. He thinks that's helped his performance. He thinks it's helped him play well late in the season and into the postseason. We'll watch this play and we'll get back to it.
Really in command. Here's Rodgers, and Rodgers picks up 4.
I think also a real important move this offseason. They went out and got Dirk Cutter as an offensive coordinator, Mike Nolan as a defensive coordinator. The other guys, Mike Mularkey, head coach in Jacksonville. They've brought a swagger to this team, a more aggressive approach, and some new things. I think you look at this offense, and I call it the best of Matt Ryan. They took what he liked most. He brought some new concepts that was familiar, so they were able to pick up where they left off, but do what they do best. And I think this Falcons team is poised. We talked about the defense. The ball gets moved on them. They don't let them in the end zone.
2nd and 8, and nearly picked off by Levante David. So for a guy who was shaken up early on, David has had an outstanding first half defensively for Tampa Bay. Rodgers, the intended receiver here.
Again, when you're in zone defense, which the Buccaneers are doing a little bit more of today, you get back and you read quarterback's eyes, and they're doing it well today. Levante David is particularly.
Snelling is in it back. You're so right about Ryan, because before it was the long drives. That was the theory for the Falcons. Don't make mistakes. And a lot of times penalties and turnovers upset you.
You got to be explosive to win in this league, and that's what they've become.
3rd down and 8. And this pass for Douglas thrown behind him. And Anthony Gator was defending. Crowd yelling for contact downfield. Gator on Douglas, no flag.
Good tight coverage by Anthony Gator. He gets his shirt full, but he does it inside the framework of his body, and the referees don't tend to call those. Good no call by the officials. Tampa doing a great job on third down against one of the better third down offenses in football.
So Matt Bodger will punt, and Roscoe Parrish back deep for the Falcons. Kick is blocked on the low snap. And will go out of bounds. A block kick. Bodger has it blocked by Dakota Watson, I believe, got in there and got a piece of it. The Buccaneers tried earlier to block a Bodger kick, didn't, and Watson gets one here.
Yeah, watch Dakota Watson. He doesn't block it. He's going to push one of Ryan's men, Michael Palmer, the tight end, right back into the punt. Great job by Watson, just bull rushing Michael Palmer right back into the punt. And effectively, they blocked their own punt to the Atlanta Falcons.
And this is the second time Bodger has had a kick blocked this year. And now the Buccaneers will have a first down on the Atlanta 26. Bucs trying to end this 5-game losing streak, go into next year on a happier note. First down for Freeman. And an end around to Tyquan Underwood. And equal to the task is Croy Bierman. So the defensive lineman with good lateral pursuit there and a gain of only 1 on the end around.
Well, as a defensive player, you got to adjust in this league. We talked about the misdirection. They're showing them one thing, coming back. That's called setting the edge. That's doing your responsibility, doing your job. Croy Bierman, outstanding, and he's been a very valuable player in a lot of different roles. Mike Nolan has used him brilliantly.
Big year for Bierman. Used to come off the bench and get sacks. Now he starts, second down and 9. From the 25. And a good catch short of the first down to Mike Williams by 2 yards, and coverage by Dominique Franks, who replaced the injured Dante Robinson, who suffered a head injury, out for the rest of the game early on. Asante Samuel was also injured, but he came back at cornerback. 7-yard pickup here.
Dick, you talked about the outstanding year Mike Williams had. Who was he just going against? The number 2 cornerback. The number 1's on Vincent Jackson. Last year, he'd be being covered by Asante Samuel. Right now, that's Vincent Jackson. Thus, Mike Williams' numbers explode.
Big third down play. And it's Doug Martin, and he'll get the first down and nearly drags Sean Weatherspoon for more yards. Gets to the 10 after an 8-yard pickup from Martin.
When you watch this kid, Doug Martin, you just see a burst that is uncanny. You watch him right there. He sees the hole, and he is through it before the Falcons can react. And outstanding, not just a good football player, an outstanding football player, a complete player the Buccaneers found in Doug Martin.
He was shackled the last time they played, only has 66 yards in the last 2 games, trying to finish strong. There's Freeman, and the pass is batted by John Abraham. So for the second time in this first half, John Abraham has got a hand on Freeman's pass.
John Abraham, everybody keeps thinking he's too old or something. All I know is every time I do a Falcons game, this guy shows up with sacks, pass deflections. He's always there, a consistent player. He's got to play. This is not a Falcons defense with stars, with big-time players. They don't have the Watts, the Von Millers. But guys like John Abraham, they're going to have to play big in the playoffs for this team to succeed.
And he does have 10 sacks. Not shabby at all. Second down and goal. Winding to 4 minutes to go in the first half. And the pitch is to Martin. And Martin's going to be tackled, and a flag is down. Jonathan Babineau got good penetration. It'll be a loss on the play, but a flag.
Holding, number 41, offense. 10-yard penalty is declined. Third down.
So they decline the holding penalty on Eric Lorig.
You're going to watch Lorig. He's cracking on. Oh, yeah, that's a tackle by my Stanford guy. Eric Lorig, who's had a really nice year at the fullback position for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Sorry you had to say something, not very positive about your guy, but that happens. Third and goal. See what Greg Schiano's offense can do here with under 4 minutes to go. Third down and goal. The ball now at the 14. Freeman going underneath to Underwood, and Underwood gets stopped at the 3-yard line. Whatever the Buccaneers do, this is a good defensive stop by the Falcons to this point. Abraham got in there, then there was the penalty, but the loss on the play. And now they stop him from getting in there, and this time Sean Weatherspoon makes the play, and a field goal try upcoming.
A good defensive stop, and I'm sure Greg Schiano's happy for Josh Freeman as well. Not forcing the football. Take what they give you, and you put points on the board, hopefully, for the Buccaneers in a field goal attempt by Barth.
22-yard attempt for Connor Barth. And the kick is good, and the Buccaneers add to their lead. Buccaneers lead the Falcons 13-3. Rodgers looking to return the kickoff from Michael Kanan.
Falcons have been sloppy, Dick. You know, offense, defense, special teams. You've seen the block punt. Offensively not sharp on third down. It's been a sloppy game thus far for the Atlanta Falcons.
Rodgers. And Rodgers tackled at the 17-yard line. One of the things for the Falcons this year has been the fact that they have hung in there and have finished games. These are the close wins, all at home. 6 against the Broncos. They beat Carolina by a pair, Oakland by 3, Dallas by 6, and the Arizona Cardinals by 4. And sometimes you say, well, I mean, you know, they're losing or winning against teams they should win by bigger margins. But the fact is they may not play their best and still win. That's a good mark of a team.
Absolutely. And Mike Smith, the head coach, believes that's what's going to help them in the playoffs. They're battle tested. They've been in tight games. They trust in their quarterback to come through.
Julio Jones on a wide receiver screen, still going down the sideline. And we talked about the great threat Julio Jones is, gets 28.
And this is a real simple play, but it's something Dirk Cutter has brought to this offense and has been at the center of a lot of big plays. When you have athletes like a Julio Jones, like a Jacquizz Rodgers, Roddy White, get them the ball and let them make plays in space. Matt Ryan calls those plays an extension of the run game.
Longest play from scrimmage in the game for Atlanta. And there is Gonzalez, who finds himself into Buccaneer territory, still about 3 or 4 yards short of the first down. Mason Foster finally brings him down. You talked about the Falcons being a little sloppy here, and of course you say how much drive. You don't want to win, but you already have the home field locked up.
And that's the challenge, is do you have that maturity? The great ones, Tony Gonzalez, we heard him in the pregame. People say it doesn't mean anything. It always means something. Whenever you get a chance to compete, you go practice competing and you practice winning.
Well, Mike Nolan said that if you're capable of losing a game like this, you're capable of losing twice. Think about it. 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to go in the half, and the quick pass to Harry Douglas, short of the first down. E.J. Biggers making the tackle. So it'll be third down and short coming up for the Falcons on the 46 of Tampa Bay.
Here's where the Buccaneers have been good today against Matt Ryan. 3rd and 1, though, has been an area of concern for the Atlanta Falcons. You think with Michael Turner, they just bang ahead for the yard, but they've been very multiple in what they do on third down. You see them here in the shotgun spread out. Someplace, an area they need to be better at to succeed in the postseason.
Third worst when they're 3rd and 1. Hard to believe for a team that's 13 and 2. Here's Ryan. 3rd and 1. Under pressure, and the pass incomplete. So there we go. Another 3rd and 1 goes by the boards for the Atlanta Falcons, and they'll have to kick.
That's an area, Dick, I believe is a component of a successful team. When you need a yard, we can get a yard. You think of Tom Brady up there in New England. When they need a yard, they'll spread you out, but they'll go straight downhill. You got big Michael Turner. I think that's an area, pound ahead, get that yard. You have to be able. I got bit in Denver. We lost an AFC championship because we couldn't convert third and shorts.
And you have Michael Turner. That's a great point. Bull his way through. Bajer kicking. Here's Parrish, and a fair catch at the 9. Well, coming up shortly, it'll be the Visa halftime report to give you the menu of what to follow. Here is Kurt Menefee.
Coming up on the Visa Halftime Show, we'll get you all caught up on the action and how it affects the playoff picture. Are the teams that need to win winning? Will the teams that need help get that help? We'll try and put the playoff picture into focus on the Visa Halftime.
Jack of all trades. Kurt Menefee, cameraman, host, you name it. Well, the Giants are winning 28-7, and the Bears have a 17-3 lead over the Lions. Bears need to win today and then hope the Packers beat the Vikings later to get into the playoffs. Starting from the 9 is Josh Freeman and the Buccaneers. Fakes a handoff to Martin and flips it behind. That was not pretty, to Dallas Clark. Incomplete, second down. Take a look at the NFC playoff picture right now. And of course, the big game, Washington and Dallas. The winner takes the NFC Eastern title. How about the Minnesota Vikings? Now they win, or the Bears lose, they're in. And then of course, Dallas has to beat Washington, and the Giants long shot.
2 words for the Minnesota Vikings. Adrian Peterson, what a tremendous season, comeback season, whatever you say. He's been simply phenomenal this season.
2nd and 10 with 1:35 to go, and here is Martin straight ahead. Nowhere. Jonathan Babineau greets him. Buccaneers have 2 timeouts left, and maybe 2 yards. And
you think about the comeback player of the year in the NFL. Here we are at the end of the season, and you look at these 2 guys, Dick, Peyton Manning, Adrian Peterson. To me, one gets the MVP, one gets the comeback player of the year. My MVP is the guy on the left there, Peyton Manning. Adrian Peterson, hard to argue for his case for MVP, but instead he gets the consolation prize, comeback player of the year. They both have been tremendous this season.
yeah, I would agree with you on that. I mean, that's pretty logical right there, especially when you consider amazing coming back from the torn ACL a year ago, but he started way before that. It was in prime shape.
Unbelievable, simply unbelievable. And Leslie Frazier, what a job he's done there in Minnesota.
Timeout was called by Atlanta. They hope to get the ball back. It'll be 3rd down and 8, and they have time. And so looking for the stop, good field position, and maybe a score before intermission. And there is the pass tipped, and once again it was tipped. This time by Thomas Deku, the safety. So the Falcons will have 1:21 to get the ball back in 2 timeouts.
Well, here comes Deku on the pressure, and Josh Freeman, I'll say it again, he's 6'6", but part of the challenge of playing quarterback in this league is you got to find those windows to throw the football. We see Russell Wilson, who stands 5'11", not get balls tipped. It's happened too much to Josh Freeman of late, something he's going to have to figure out today and throughout the offseason.
Abraham got his hand on too. Now Deku, so Canaan backpedaling is Harry Douglas. Douglas with a great fake and gets to the 43. And good field position coming up now for the Falcons. Want to remind you that coming up, game 2 of our Fox doubleheader on this ultimate week. America's game of the week, the Packers and the Vikings. So you talked about Adrian Peterson. He'll be playing at home against the Packers. And you know the Bears, very interested in that one. They're leading now 20-3 with less than 2 minutes to go in the first half.
This is an area right here. You talk situational football, the end of the half, last 2 minutes of the halves. It's an area the Falcons stress every week, and it's something they're very good at. Always have been under Matt Ryan and Mike Smith. We'll see if they can get points going into the half right here.
They only needed 1 timeout to get the ball back, and a first down. And under pressure, pass caught by Douglas, and Douglas hit immediately at the 46 by Daquan Bowers. And now we have another injury, and it's Bennett, Michael Bennett, hurt for Tampa Bay.
This pass rush has affected Matt Ryan today. They've been closing the pocket, haven't finished him, but they've been all around him and forcing him to move within the pocket. They've been disruptive today. The next move the Buccaneers got to make is they've got to learn to finish quarterbacks. You can affect them, but it's great when you can sack them, and that's something they need to be better at. They've been deficient at that for years, and when they were great, that's what they did. They finished quarterbacks.
Want to remind you, the Visa halftime report coming up to bring you up to date on the scores, highlights, and the playoff implications. You talked about the reason, why you want to play and win, and Mike Smith had a very interesting point. The Falcons 13-2, but both of their losses are to division teams. They were beaten by the Saints and by the Panthers. And, it would be a little sour taste going in a couple of weeks to play, knowing that 3 losses to NFC South foes.
Absolutely. Division games mean something. And the other thing that was startling was being around the Buccaneers. They respect the Falcons, but they think they're right there with them. And really, that's who they want to be, but they don't think the gap is that far, and they're playing like it today.
Tampa Bay gets charged with a timeout by rule and injury in the last 2 minutes. And you're charged with a timeout. 2nd down and 8, and Ryan goes down. Smartly, Ryan was not going to stand up in the face of the rush, and Daniel Teonesheim gets the sack.
Teonesheim's going to be right there on the right side, runs a little stun as the Buccaneers do so often, and he's going to be credited with it. But the whole group rushing the passer very well today.
Loss of 11 yards, and Ryan wasn't going to stand up there. I'll take the loss. And a timeout called by Tampa Bay. It is their 3rd and final timeout. So Greg Schiano, we saw him earlier, as John pointed out, coaches everybody over talking to the defensive group after the first series. And the Atlanta Falcons look not as sharp as they've looked in their final dress rehearsal before the play.
And I'm sure they'll hear about it at halftime from Mike Smith. He's a calm guy, very calculated, but I'm sure he's not thrilled with the way his team's being played. He's not thrilled with the way they're protecting his quarterback. Not a good half for the Atlanta Falcons.
Told us he was going to play his regulars. He says, I reserve the right to go to my bench at any point. Pass caught by Jason Snelling out of the backfield, and Snelling gets to the 48 of Tampa Bay with the clock running, 27 seconds remaining. And the Falcons not interested in stopping the clock. "16-yard play to Snelling, and they're going to let the clock run out, obviously. And now Mike Smith calls the timeout with 5 seconds remaining.
A 30-second timeout.
That's a little surprising, really. I mean, this is a team that prides themselves on these type of situations. You've got that timeout. Given an opportunity, you got trust in your quarterback. He's earned that right to throw the football down there, use the timeout. You've got a kicker with a big leg who can go 55 yards, and Matt Bryant.
And you wonder why they waited so long when they had 2 timeouts left. Still have another timeout remaining. It is 4th down and 3.
Try the old Hail Mary, throw it up, give him a shot in the end zone. Vincent Jackson back on defense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
3 ball hawks back there inside the 5. Here's Ryan, and Ryan gets hit and decked by Levante David, who came in unresisted, and a sack by David. Big loss, and that'll do it for the first half. It's 13-3 Tampa Bay. Here's Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles. Visa halftime starts now. And we're back here at the Georgia Dome, where the Buccaneers lead the Falcons 13-3. Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to iTunes.com/NFL. And I know the game really doesn't affect the Falcons as far as the playoffs. #1 seed, home field throughout. But I don't think this is the way they want to go into the playoffs, the way they played in the first half.
Not at all. We talked about wanting to be firing on all cylinders, and they have the last couple weeks. Today, not so. It's hard to play. It's a mental challenge to play these type of games. Convince yourself that it really does mean something. And it looks like it means more to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now, and it's showing on the field.
Tampa Bay will get the ball first.
Dick, I think for the Falcons, look, you want to win the football game, but more importantly, you want to play well. And you want to keep that rhythm, that momentum going. And I think more important than coming out with a win today is feeling good about yourself. And they can do that by playing well in the second half.
And you talked about the special teams breakdowns, which is the last thing you need going into postseason. So Bodger kicking off to Parrish. And will sail out to the end zone. Let's check in now with Jen Hale.
Well, Dick, two things Mike Smith addressed with this Falcons team at halftime. Better protection for Matt Ryan and shoring up third down. He says the Falcons keep coming up just a touch short. He wants to see a little bit more effort. I asked him, is there a point you rest your starters given your postseason aspirations? He told me, well, it's possible that could happen. Greg Schiano says the key to their success has been holding on to the ball consistently this game, which they haven't necessarily done all season. And, of course, he agrees they're getting good pressure on Matt Ryan, Dick.
And you're absolutely right. You look at what the Falcons aren't doing, but you got to credit what the Buccaneers are doing here in this game. Starting from the 20. Josh Freeman on a play action. And Freeman with a lot of time and going deep and completing to Williams. And going big play to Williams, whose longest play was 16. This one for 23 yards and a first down.
Now, Dick, you tell me, when I look at this, I see a franchise big-time quarterback. Sells the play action hard, stands in a nice pocket, then delivers a big throw down the field. This shows the arm strength of Josh Freeman, scans the field. That's everything you want in a quarterback. I give a lot of credit today to Mike Sullivan. Misdirection, play action, moving the pocket. He's put Josh Freeman in a rhythm, and it looks really good right now. 6
catches for Williams. Here is Doug Martin on the handoff. And Martin gets to the 45-yard line. Freeman now 13 of 19 for 161 and 1 touchdown as we look at the offensive leaders for the Buccaneers. And this is a big improvement for Freeman from his 1 TD, 8 interception performance the last 2 weeks. Martin hasn't broken it. And Luke Stocker with a career high for yardage.
We said it in the open. As Josh Freeman goes, so go the Buccaneers. He's playing well, and they're playing well.
And the handoff is to Doug Martin. And Martin gets to the 46-yard line. It'll be third down and 6. How about this for Tampa Bay as well, John? When you talk about the way their offense is, they have not committed a penalty and they've not turned it over.
They're playing like the Atlanta Falcons play consistently, and that's the challenge for the Bucs. To take that next step is to do it on a consistent basis.
Third down and 6 from the 47. Freeman pumps once and a first down. Martin up the middle, and he gets into Falcon territory to the 47. Nicholas on the tackle. So Freeman looking to finish strong after 2 rocky games. 12-yard pickup.
I said earlier about Doug Martin, who's coming out of the backfield. He's a complete football player. Josh Freeman does a great job of finding him. He said, look, I got to be able to check the football down to Martin and these guys instead of pushing it all the time. You do that, good things will happen. The Buccaneers are firing on all cylinders.
No question about that. On the 41 of Atlanta, leading by 10 here early in the third quarter. Martin up the middle, and the Falcons slamming back. No gain on the play. Weatherspoon and Nicholas, the outside backers, involved in the play. Remember, the Falcons coming in 7-0 at home, looking to finish undefeated at home. Those are Martin's numbers thus far. 60 yards total yardage. 2nd and 9. They fake the handoff to Martin, and in rhythm the pass dropped by Tyquan Underwood. Underwood would have had the first down inside the 30 and maybe more. Drop the pass, so it'll be third down and 9.
These are the kind of plays, 5-6 plays a game, just can help decide a game. Ball in your chest, you got to catch it. He's more worried about is he's going to get hit or not. Look the football in. Great throw by Josh Freeman. Underwood's got to catch that football. Sean Witherspoon trying to put some juice into this Falcons defense.
Pretty good third down passing for Freeman thus far today. He needs 9 here, however. from the 40. And Freeman's pass, and it's caught by Vincent Jackson, and a first down. Inside the 25, Thomas Deku with pressure on Freeman, who handled it beautifully. 15 yards, first catch of the day for Vincent Jackson.
You're going to see the pressure by Deku. That means there's one-on-one matchups downfield, and you'll take Vincent Jackson on Robert McClain all day long and twice on Sunday, and Josh Freeman does.
And Jackson, who's going to be a first alternate in the Pro Bowl, now has 20 catches in his last 4 games. 8th play of the drive on the 24 of Atlanta. Shoulder fake by Freeman, and incomplete to Jackson. He got hit hard. Weatherspoon was there, as well as Akeem Dent. Jackson felt that one.
These crossing routes, you depend on your quarterback not to lead you into the danger. A clean hit by Sean Weatherspoon. What I love about this play, Vincent Jackson doesn't hesitate, gets right back up, says bring it again. A legal hit, that's good football. Vincent Jackson pops right back up.
Second down and 10. And Freeman has gone over 4,000 yards in a season. First Buccaneer quarterback ever to do that. Second and 10, pressure on Freeman, and he tries to get it out. With pressure from Nicholas, trying to get it out to Dallas Clark.
See Stephen Nicholas, he knows that this misdirection's been a big part of this game plan. You got to get to that upfield shoulder and keep Freeman in the pocket. He does a great job of it. Freeman's got to get rid of the football.
And it was Stocker who's been their big tight end receiver, not Clark, who will try to get the ball to. So it'll be third down and 10 from the 24. Crowd yelling for another Falcons stop. They haven't done it yet in the series.
Showing all this pressure. Mike Nolan talks about making that quarterback think on third down.
Freeman, and it's off the hands of Mike Williams, incomplete. But by getting that first down when they were at the 40, they enabled Connor Barth to come in and have a shot at a field goal.
And that's a ball that you just have to complete. I think when Josh Freeman's maturation, you look at a passer who's at 55% coming into the day, and this is a simple throw. You got to put it on the numbers. You got to hit Mike Williams in stride, and then you've got maybe an opportunity at the first down.
42-yard try by Barth. Only one touchdown in the game. And with less than 5 minutes elapsed in the third quarter, the Bucs 16, Falcons 3. Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers add to their lead, but the Falcons holding the Bucs to field goals. They only had to convert a third down to get in that position. And it's now 16-3 as the Bucs get some points on their opening possession of the second half. Michael Kanan kicking to Jacquizz Rodgers. Good kick, and the Falcons will start from the 20.
And I tell you what, Dick, the zeros on the paychecks are nice, but Vincent Jackson says, I'm earning it, Josh. Don't put me in that situation again.
Falcons get the ball for the first time in the second half, trailing 16-3. Matt Ryan out of the flat to Mike Cox, the fullback. So Mike Smith continues to use his starters. Ryan, Gonzalez, White, Jones, all in there. Those are Ryan's numbers. Rodgers, the leading rusher for a team that has not run the ball well at all. And Roddy White leading the parade with 5 catches.
And this is a team that came in smoking hot. We showed you Ryan's numbers the last 2 games. This team has been on fire offensively. The Buccaneers have done a fine job today of stifling this offense.
2nd and 7. Rodgers on the screen. Jacquizz Rodgers looked like he tripped up. His own teammate might have got him a little bit, and it was Peter Kahns whose foot might have gotten in the way of more yards. He got 8 anyway, did Rodgers.
Getting a good pass rush, a great way to negate that is to throw the screen, invite them up the field, and then throw it right behind them. That can put a little chill on that rush. Good adjustment by Dirk Cutter, the offensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons.
First down at the 31. Ryan flips it to Rodgers. Coming over is Roy Miller. Talk about a defender who's had a good year for the Buccaneers. His defensive tackle Miller. 5-yard gain out to the 36.
He's played very well, and you look at the play selection, a lot of pass, but that goes hand in hand. You know, you're talking about the #1 ranked run defense, the worst in the league against the pass, and the Falcons have tried to pass it. The Buccaneers have done a good job. And Matt Ryan will tell you that's just part of who this offense has become. We've got a lot of guys who can make plays in the passing game, and so we're going to take advantage of it, and we're not going to apologize for it.
2nd and 5, and here is Rodgers, and Rodgers is going to be tackled for a 1-yard gain. You know, their average rush this year has been 3.7 yards, and that's 28th in the league. Today so far they're 4.5, but their passing, as you showed, more than running. And now they're faced with a 3rd down and 4.
And here they're 2 of 8 on the day on 3rd down, and that's a strength of this team. They usually operate at about a 50% clip. See Michael Turner on the sidelines. And Matt Ryan faces 3rd down.
Snelling is now in it back. Almost intercepted. Not a good pass at all. Biggers had a better shot at it than Julio Jones. And incomplete 4th down.
Well, they vary at this time, 3-man rush, but just good coverage by Biggers, and that's the stop fade that they've had so much success with, but that's just good contested coverage by these corners for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Buccaneers have outgained the Falcons 231 yards to 182. Bajer kicking to Parrish. 4th punt for Bajer. A beauty. Parrish inside the 5. And barely gets to the 15 if he did it all. That was a 59-yard kick. Matt Ryan with 3 points to show for the Atlanta offense today. Well, a reminder to call ** NFL to download NFL Mobile for only $5 all month long. Well, Josh Freeman has set Buccaneer records for season and career touchdown passes, now with 27 of the year, 1 more than Brad Johnson in 03, 1 more than Vinny Testaverde for a career with 78. So far, a banner day for Freeman. Dallas Clark comes wide to the left in the handoff to Doug Martin. And Martin with a carry looked like he went subterranean to get 5 yards.
You know what he is? He's slippery. At the point of contact, he is just excellent. The first guy doesn't bring him down, and when he does, he's falling forward. This kid's just a superb player, and you think next year, all of a sudden you get Carl Nix, an all-pro guard back. You get Davin Joseph, a guy who missed the entire season back. You couple that with the continuity that they have back, with everyone back under the same offense, some exciting things can happen for the Buccaneers.
You're so right. 2nd and 5. That's how Greg Schiano felt when he played him the first time. He could wear even with the Falcons. Here is Martin again. And Martin stopped short of the first down by a yard by Stephen Nicholas. It's amazing. You just mentioned Nix and Joseph, you know, like it's, all right, by the way, like sidebar, that's huge. How many teams can miss Pro Bowl guards like that?
Well, Carl Nix, let me tell you, Davin Joseph, a fine player and really a leader on this team. Carl Nix, in my mind, the best interior lineman in football last year. They paid a lot for him, and he was paying dividends. He went out. They've been able to sustain. I think this team at some point just lost gas. They have a very demanding football coach who was tough on them physically, mentally. They lost those starters. They ran out of gas. They got it back. They filled up last night because they're playing well today.
3rd down and 1 from the 24. And Freeman with the quarterback sneak, and it'll be close. First down, Tampa Bay.
And Dick, you know, we talk about this season. I think it's more about a big picture for Greg Schiano and the Bucs. They thought something was broken. Raheem Morris had done a nice job, but he had lost his team essentially. We saw it here in the last game of the season last year. They brought in a tough guy in Greg Schiano. He grinded this team. I remember Mike Tomlin, his first year in Pittsburgh. He said it's not about the wins and losses. It's about changing a culture. Greg Schiano has attempted to do it. I think he's done it. We'll see next year.
You asked him point blank, what about the team? He says, arrows up for our franchise. And arrow is up certainly for Doug Martin. And Martin getting to the 30. Weatherspoon making the tackle. And I think right now, John, you mentioned we have a Buccaneer player shaken up. Ted Larson, the center. And you know, this is a team that's playing the way, as you mentioned earlier, the way the Falcons normally play. He said Atlanta lets other people lose games. And the way that the Buccaneers are playing, no turnovers, no penalties in the game, indicate that they are just like what the Falcons normally do. Injury timeout. We'll be back. Ted Larson injured out of the game for the Bucs. Second down and 5 at the 29. Here's Freeman, and he's going to go to Martin out of the backfield, and he is stung immediately by Sean Weatherspoon. And a loss of 2 yards on the play. So Ted Larson out of the game, and Jeremy Zuttah is now back at center.
Look at this tackle by Sean Weatherspoon, and this is a guy, I talked about Levante David earlier, the ability to close in a hurry. Sean Weatherspoon does it. This guy is a future star in this league in my mind. He's got to play big in the playoffs as well for them to be successful.
And an open field like that against Martin, as you see Larson getting off the bench. Third down and 7. For Freeman and the Buccaneers, he has time, and this pass is intercepted. Picked off by Asante Samuel. Thrown right to him, and a big turnover by Freeman. 10-yard return by Samuel, and the Falcons back in business.
Asante Samuel, he's always been a dangerous guy because you never know where he's going to be. He kind of lurks in the weeds, and then he strikes. And Asante Samuel, you talk to any corner, you just never know where he's going to be. He's been tremendous for this team, and Josh Freeman, who struggled protecting the football the last couple of weeks, frustration sets in, and Asante Samuel, the energetic one, pumps some juice into this team.
31st takeaway of the year for the Falcons. Came in 5th. Only the Bears and the Giants have more takeaways. For Sambo, that's his 5th pick of the season. First down at the 21. Big opportunity for Matt Ryan to bring his team back. And here is Turner. And Turner carries Michael Bennett for a couple of yards. And it'll be second down for the Falcons with an opportunity.
And Dick, here's what I'm talking about on that 3rd and 1. This isn't 3rd and 1, but watch Michael Turner here. He's a 250-pound back, dragging a defensive lineman for 4 yards. I think we need to see more of that for the Atlanta Falcons. He's fresh. Let him loose.
Mike Johnson, number 79, is an extra offensive lineman. And is ounced in there. And here is Turner. Turner gets in for the touchdown. Forget 1 yard. How about 17 yards?
Well, 17 works too. And this is the kind of running that you're excited if you're an Atlanta Falcons by Michael Turner. Look at the hole up front, but then watch the violent finish. Running through the safety tackles of Mark Barron, and Rondé Barber can't get him down in time. That's big-time running by Michael Turner. What this team needs moving forward.
17-yard touchdown run by Turner for a team that has been really woeful in the run game. And Josh Freeman stung by the interception by Samuel, who, by the way, made his 50th career pick on that play. And then the 17-yard power run by Turner. And Matt Bryant looking to bring the Falcons to within 6. And he does. With 3:45 to go, Samuel. And it's the interception They said he loves to talk, but he talks in a positive way to Samuel. He also does interceptions and sets up a Turner score.
We talked about Michael Turner being fresh. You see 2012, 221 carries. Look at those other years. 2009, he was hurt. They have run this guy and run him a lot. This year, Mike Smith talked to him in February and said, we want to keep you fresh, buddy. He's fresh. Like I said, cut him loose, because this can be a big part of the formula for success for the Falcons.
Maybe the real thing this time around, but they trail by 6, and the Bucs will take it out on the 20. And Asante Samuel, and you were just telling me a moment ago, boy, he's really put a lot of energy into this defensive unit, and that interception. And Turner, by the way, that makes 5 straight seasons with 10 rushing touchdowns for Michael Turner.
Dick, Tony Gonzalez, last time we did a game, he said Asante Samuel, huge acquisition. Not only what he does on the field, he puts energy into this team, not just the defense. And I'd add the stadium to that, because this stadium's back after that interception.
Boy, they've been quiet for a while. First down and 10 on the 20. Freeman coming off after the critical interception. He'll hand it off to Doug Martin, and Martin with a burst gets to the 30 and a first down. But right now, time for the game break, and let's join Patrick O'Neill.
All right, Dick, thanks. It is certainly getting interesting in Detroit. Matthew Stafford going to hit Will Heller. Detroit was once down 20-3. Chicago needs to win to make the playoffs, and with the Giants up big, well, they need Chicago to lose and 2 other teams. So a lot of scoreboard watching going on in Week 17. Dick and John, getting interesting. Back to you.
All right, Patrick, thank you very much. And on the handoff to Doug Martin. And Martin takes it out to the 31-yard line. Denton Nicholas are there, a 2-yard pickup. So if the Bears win, the Minnesota Vikings must win to clinch the 6th seed in the NFC, and that'll be coming up next on Fox in America's Game of the Week, as the Vikings host the Green Bay Packers, who have been hot. 2nd down and 8.
This is where Josh Freeman needs to respond. He's had a tendency to let one bad play lead to others. He's got to turn that around right now.
And this pass caught. Vincent Jackson. And a good catch on a low pass, and barrels his way to the Falcon 40-yard line, a 27-yard gain. And Freeman so far responding.
You talk about an acquisition for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Vincent Jackson. They paid him a lot of money, but he's made it worthwhile. And you see Thomas Deku missed the tackle in space. But this guy is a game-breaking type player, came from the Chargers, and he's been a huge addition for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Has delivered in a huge way, only 2 catches. That was a big one. First down on the 40-yard line of Atlanta. Here is Martin. Martin with a break, and Martin's still going. Martin to the 10. He's going to score. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Thomas Deku and Chris Hope both had shots at Doug Martin. And he has quieted the crowd with a 40-yard touchdown run. And the Bucs certainly answered that last Atlanta score.
Now, Thomas Deku, in my mind, had a Pro Bowl type season, 6 interceptions. The one weakness, and it can bite you as a team when your safety can't tackle in space or doesn't on a consistent basis, that will hurt you. Doug Martin's not one of these guys that will go down with a butt tackle. You got to wrap him up. Deku doesn't. Martin makes him pay.
And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are now the highest scoring Buccaneer team of all time with this touchdown run.
And you see it right there, the finish. You got to wrap your arms. You got to bring your arms, because he's going to keep running.
And they're going to go for 2. But first,
good run by Shiano.
Timeout.
Tampa Bay, a 30-second timeout.
Well, he ought to go to the combine in Indianapolis. He'll get good grades there.
He ought to get his play in a little quicker. That's what he ought to do. Then you don't have to run down the field.
Well, that was a quick 4-play, 80-yard drive. And here is Shiano.
Right up there. Well, he got there.
Official knew what he wanted when he saw Shiano bearing down on him on the sideline. So the timeout And the Bucs going for 2. Well, he's in shape.
You just see it. Deku right there. You got to keep your head up. You got to bring your arms. Doug Martin, these big-time NFL backs, you got to bring them all the way to the ground.
So here's the 2-point conversion. And there is the pass to the corner to Williams, and they don't make it. So the score remains 22-10. Robert McClain was defending Mike Williams on the play. And so Doug Martin, after a couple of games where he had only 66 yards the last 2, now has 108 today. And of course the banner game was against the Oakland Raiders when he had 251 yards and 4 touchdowns. And I think only the second player ever in the NFL, Mike Anderson of the Broncos at New Orleans back in 2000, had 4 touchdowns and 251 yards. So what Martin has done this year, simply phenomenal, I think. 11 touchdowns, 1,400 rushing yards, and he catches passes as well, and 12 scrimmage touchdowns.
You look at this 2-point conversion. You got Mike Williams one-on-one. If you're Josh Freeman, your job's to give him a chance to catch the football. You throw it out of bounds, doesn't have that chance. Time wasn't an issue. That's the accuracy that has to improve for Josh Freeman. Some of that will come with familiarity with the system, but that's not because of a new system. That's just a bad throw, and got to be more accurate.
Well, here's a situation where Asante Samuel makes a critical interception, and then Turner runs 17 yards for the score. 6-point game, and then the Bucs answer. That's got to make Greg Schiano feel really good, and the Falcons will get it out of the 20. Well, Friday, one of the best bowl games of the year is on Fox as Heisman Trophy winner and one of the most talked about players in the country. Johnny Manziel leads 9th-ranked Texas A&M against the 11th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners. The AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic, Friday at 7:30 Eastern, only on Fox. Well, that blunts the fans' enthusiasm after the interception and score. Let's see how Matt Ryan responds. Here is Jacquizz Rodgers. Rodgers picks up about 3. Well, the AFC has a battle gone. Everybody knows the 6 teams that are going to be in, but the question is who will have home field advantage. Now the Colts lead the Texans, and if they lose and the Broncos win against Kansas City in a later game, Denver will have the home field.
I think that was huge. The biggest thing was that the Broncos, if you're a Bronco fan, leapfrogged the New England Patriots, because going into New England and getting a win in postseason, that's difficult. Take your chances at home. 2nd
down and 7. Nearly a minute to go in the 3rd. Ryan's pass thrown to Gonzalez. And Gonzalez, extra effort may get him the 1st down. For Gonzalez, only his 3rd catch of the day. He's got 28 yards, needed 111 to get over 1,000. Just short of the 1st down, and still short, and this time it was Bennett who did his impersonation of John Abraham by getting in and getting a piece of that ball.
And Michael Bennett, he made himself some money this year. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent, 9 sacks on the season. A lot of plays like this. Tampa Bay Buccaneers will try to re-sign him, but a lot of people are going to be vying for his services. Had an outstanding season. Played more than he's ever played. I think that affected him. I think for a little bit he ran out of some gas. He seems to have had a second wind, but a good football player.
Can't sign them all. You know that.
He signed the good ones, though, when he came.
Matt Bodger kicking to Roscoe Parrish. Parrish at the 12. And will go out of bounds. Well, the AFC playoff picture. Houston right now the #1 seed, but they're trailing. They lead in time of possession in the league. Denver has won 10 straight games. They're hot. New England scoring 35 points per game. Wow. How about Baltimore with their 5th straight playoff appearance? And the Colts And 9 wins in games decided by 7 or fewer. And the Cincinnati Bengals won 6 out of 7. And 9-6, second consecutive playoff appearance.
You know, people ask me all the time, Dick, do you miss playing? Well, I tell them I like hanging out with Dick Stockton too much to miss it. But this is the time of year when I miss it. Playoff time. This is when it gets fun. It's when it gets interesting. It's when this game is so great.
Handoff is to Martin. You told me week 2 that you wish you were playing. But you had enough of this. No. Only kidding. We like having you here. And the job that you do, and that should be the last play of the 3rd quarter. And we're glad you are retired because you get a closer chance of getting in to the Hall of Fame. I know you're down to the semifinals, and we all wish you luck there. And that'll be the end of the 3rd quarter with the score: the Bucs 22 and the Falcons 10. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after a break from your local Fox station. The Buccaneers have outscored Atlanta in the 2nd and 3rd quarters. Lead 22-10 as we start the 4th. Dick Stockton, John Lynch, and Jennifer Hale here at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. 2nd down and 6 on the 29. Freeman, and trying to make the tough catch there was Luke Stocker, defended well by Weatherspoon. Flag is down.
Holding, number 70, offense. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That'll go against Donald Penn, and that is the first penalty of the game against the Buccaneers. In fact, first penalty of the game, period.
Watch up top. You're going to see Penn attempting to block John Abraham, and he gets a chest full, holds and restricts him. And that's what the great pass rushers do. It doesn't always end up at sacks. They disrupt quarterbacks. They draw penalties. End result is just as good as a sack.
Loring, the fullback, to the bottom of your picture on 2nd down and 16. They go the other way to Martin, and a good tackle made there by Thomas Deku. Deku leading with 6 interceptions this year. And you know, one of the great reasons why the defense has been better under Mike Nolan is that the secondary has really arisen this season.
They have, and William Moore, a big part of that, has missed the last 3 games. Today was the 4th out. He's going to be well. Mike Smith said Wednesday he'll be back out there with the team. Coming off a hamstring. It's taken longer. They wanted to make sure he was right. But you're absolutely right about that secondary having arisen.
3rd and 15. Freeman getting away and trying to flip it up the middle to DJ Ware. And so the Falcons defense holds, and the Bucs will have to kick.
So Freeman worked the pocket, steps up, throws a catchable ball to Ware, and Ware just can't bring it in. Babineau, a happy man.
Harry Douglas and Michael Kamen will punt from the 5. Low line drive kick. Douglas at the 28. And Douglas will be dropped at the 40. Good field position for the Falcons, who got defensive help from Thomas Deku just when they needed it. Back here at the Georgia Dome, the Falcons will start from the 40-yard line. Gerald McCoy will be a Pro Bowler for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And there you see the others for the Atlanta Falcons. Matt Ryan made it. Jason Snelling in the backfield, and Ryan drills it incomplete, and trying to get it to Tony Gonzalez, covered by Levante David. David, good coverage downfield. Reminds you of somebody else.
and that's a heck of a job by Levante David. It's an area that got exposed last week in the loss to the St. Louis Rams. David plays the run so aggressively he can be exposed at times on play action. This time he reads his keys, stays on Tony Gonzalez. A lot of contact. Greg Schiano wanted that offensive pass interference on Gonzalez.
Derek Brooks, of course, was the linebacker, one of your great teammates on your Super Bowl championship. 2nd down and 10. Hand off to Snelling. Second effort by Snelling gets back to the line of scrimmage. Mason Foster. Well, Gerald McCoy just happy he's played the entire season injury-free. For more, here's Jen.
Well, you know, Dick, Gerald McCoy's idol has always been Warren Sapp, who's now also his mentor. Funny story, when they first met, McCoy was so starstruck he couldn't speak. Warren Sapp looked at him and said, "What's wrong, man? You can't talk?" Walked off on him. He came back later and said, "Hey, I just did it to teach you a lesson. Don't ever let another man intimidate you."
Great relationship with Warren Sapp, who has helped McCoy, gentlemen, so much. Here's Ryan, and he flips it out to Jacquizz Rodgers. And Rodgers is dropped at the 44 by Rondé Barber after picking up 5 yards. But McCoy, who has finished the last 2 seasons with injuries, John, said, you know, I've been thinking about this all year, getting to the final game of the season, finishing intact.
He did, and he talked about that being a season goal, but he talked about the Pro Bowl being a lifetime goal and how honored he was. It was neat to see the excitement in Gerald McCoy. He's had a tough luck with injuries. The ability's always been there. He's had it come to fruition with health this year.
Bodger punting, Parrish receiving, and he'll let it bounce into the end zone for the touchback. So the Bucs will start out at the 20. They've outplayed the Falcons, who have played their starters throughout. Early in the fourth, the Bears lead the Lions 23-17. The Bears need to win that game and hope that the Packers beat the Vikings for Chicago to get into the playoffs as the 6th seed in the NFC. First down on the 20. Here is Freeman's pass, and wrestling for it was anyone. McClain and Vincent Jackson going at it. And McClain had position on Jackson.
That's good football on both sides, but you'd like to see a better throw by Josh Freeman. You've got the big height advantage. Give him a chance. Throw it high. Great competing effort by Robert McClain, fighting against a big-time receiver in Vincent Jackson and competing right till the end.
McClain, the former Jaguar. Dante Robinson out with a head injury early. Didn't come back. Moore out for the 4th straight game. 2nd and 10. Martin. Amazing that Martin even got back to the line of scrimmage, considering that a flag is down, that the Falcons could have thrown him for a loss. Carl Sheffers.
Holding, number 41, offense. That penalty's declined. 3rd down.
Declined the holding penalty against Eric Laurie. So it'll be 3rd down and 10 from the 20. Final day of the regular season. And still plenty at stake. Greg Schiano, like Mike Smith, take a lot of notes. A lot of time as reminders to what they want to tell the team in the middle of the week. Can't remember all of it. 3rd and 10. Freeman. And the pass incomplete. Looked like Jackson had a chance for that pass. And McClain defending again. And now an injury holding on to the left ankle is John Abraham.
I'll tell you, we've talked about him a lot today. That's a scary sight for the Atlanta Falcons, because that's a guy you have to have as you enter to the postseason. You watch him come around the edge. He's going to beat Stalker, but his own man, Pariah Jerry, runs into him and he collapses on that left ankle.
A lot of times injuries come that way, John. As you know from your days, it could come in an awkward, unorthodox way, and that's really not good for Mike Smith and the Atlanta Falcons, their top pass rusher. This is what happens, and he's played his starters throughout this entire game. We'll take a timeout.
Today's game is sponsored by the new 2013 Ford F-150 with EcoBoost.
Hard over to take him into the locker room. Not good news or good omen there as Douglas returns the punt for the Falcons and takes it almost to midfield. A 11-yard return. Adam Hayward making the tackle.
Here's moments ago, John Abraham walking off the field. And Mike Smith knows that this is a guy he can ill afford to lose. He sees Abraham down and lets out an exhale. Now, a lot of people will criticize the fact he had his starters in. We've said it from the beginning. I still believe it. You got to play your guys. You got to be in rhythm. Have they lost some guys today? Yes. Do you hope they're back? And that's why the bye is sometimes invaluable. You've got that extra week to get healthy.
First down at the 48. Here's Michael Turner. And Turner will lose yardage. Levante David, who's having a brilliant game. 5-yard loss on the play. So crowd somber right now as the top pass rusher for this team, the veteran John Abraham, who has 10 sacks on the year for a Falcon defense that sorely needs his pass rushing talents postseason.
Absolutely. John Abraham's a big part of what they do. We talked about it. They aren't a bunch of stars, but he's one of the stars that they have on defense. And a lot of stars on offense, but they haven't really played like it today.
2nd and 15. And Ryan goes down. And that's Daquan Bowers with the 3rd sack for the Bucs, and a flag thrown as well. And the flag thrown at midfield.
There's Daquan Bowers. He's going to come on a little TE stunt, tackle in stunt, and just abuses Peter Kahns.
Holding, number 20, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
And it's all nullified. The 7-yard loss nullified because Rondé Barber was called for holding, which will give the Falcons an automatic first down. And Barber is incensed over that call.
He doesn't like the call, and Rondé doesn't typically argue with officials, so something he clearly didn't like. Can't say it enough. I'm a big thing for Greg Schiano in this offseason. Does Rondé Barber come back for a 17th year? We asked him. He said he's not sure yet. That may go into March. We will see.
First down, and Ryan gets it over to Jacquizz Rodgers, and Barber, boy, I tell you, he is inspired right now. That was an inspired tackle by Rondé Barber, limiting Rodgers to a gain of 5.
Here's the penalty. He's working in the slot right about there on Harry Douglas. He does have a hold of him right there. But the one thing about Rondé Barber, you can never keep him down, is to call him the Chihuahua, because he's not real big. He got a lot of spunk, and what a tremendous career Rondé has had.
2nd down and 5. And open is Julio Jones, and a first down to the 29 of the Buccaneers. A bullet thrown by Matt Ryan, an 18-yard catch by Jones.
And this is what we've seen all year. Matt Ryan working the pocket, zip on the football. Those receivers so explosive. The defense has to play back on them. That's Atlanta Falcon offensive football.
Nearly 19 yards per catch for Jones. Ryan comparing his 2 appearances against the Bucs, and a first down. And Ryan gets it to Tony Gonzalez, who breaks a tackle and gets to the 22-yard line. Gibson finally makes the stop after the miss by Rondé Barber, and he gets 7 yards. And now, with under 9 minutes to go in the 4th, the Falcons, down by 12, are moving it.
Here's Ryan starting to work the different options that he has. Tony Gonzalez so good at fending off defenders, even the best tacklers like Rondé Barber. Tony Gonzalez, deep into his career, in his 16th year, continues to play at an unbelievable level. 2nd
down and 2 at the 21. Ryan flips it off to Rodgers. First down, more. Inside the 10 goes Jacquizz Rodgers. And Justin Blaylock, the left guard, with a superb block, freeing Rodgers after the catch for a gain of 13.
Well, good call by you, partner. Watch this. This is just a little run play. You might as well be a toss, and what a job by Blaylock getting on Levante David, setting it up for Jacquizz Rodgers.
And there is an injured Buccaneer after the tackle here, and it's Gerald McCoy. And so McCoy is going to walk off on his own power. And so McCoy leaves. Here's a guy who drops his helmet. He did not complete the last 2 years because of injuries. First and goal at the 8 now for the Falcons. Snelling is in the game, and the pass thrown knocked down by Leonard Johnson on the pass intended for Roddy White. Good play by Johnson.
And you know what Greg Schiano's defenders have done today is exactly what he wanted it to, and what they haven't done, frankly, throughout. Stay on top. They can catch it in front, but do not get beat on top. Leonard Johnson does it. Little miscommunication. Roddy White thinks there's some contact, but this defensive back group has done a tremendous job for Greg Schiano here today.
Second down and goal.
339.
Jason Snelling, and he's wrestled down by the middle linebacker Mason Foster after a pickup of 1. That will bring up 3rd and goal from the 7. As we wind down, 7.5 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Tampa Bay Buccaneers trying to end a 5-game losing streak and prevent the Falcons from finishing the regular season undefeated at home. Only the Seattle Seahawks are where the Falcons are at 7-0 at home this year.
Here's the predicament that the Falcons put defenses in. Which one you want to cover? Pick your poison. You want to cover Roddy White? Julio Jones will beat you. You want to cover those two? Tony Gonzalez beat you.
Here is Ryan on the rollout. Overthrows Gonzalez. Barron was covering, and now it'll be 4th down.
See Tony Gonzalez, excellent coverage by Mark Barron. You see him right here. Got to throw it a little quicker. Barron closes. That's something Barron has been criticized on of late, the pass coverage. He's got the ability. He's got to just trust his ability. He does right there.
They're going to pass up the field goal and go for it on 4th down and goal from the 7. Here's Ryan's pass. It's caught. It's in, touchdown. Harry Douglas. 4th down and 7, and Matt Ryan and company deliver.
Well, we talk about the big 3, and then don't forget about that guy right there, Harry Douglas. Matt Ryan does it as well as anyone. Does he love the big 3, those big-time receivers? Absolutely. He's going to throw it to the open receiver, though. That time it was Harry Douglas, and Greg Schiano doesn't like that play at all, and he lets his team know it.
And for Douglas, that is his first touchdown catch of the year. With all of the TD catches by the big 3, 25. This is Douglas's first. Matt Bryant on for the extra point to make this a 5-point game, and it's 22-17. Greg Schiano has seen this before. Buccaneers lost the lead in their first meeting by a point. This game is up for grabs as well. Critical scoring drive for the Atlanta Falcons, and Harry Douglas, 4th career touchdown catch, 1 in each of his 4 seasons, gives the fans a souvenir. And for Matt Ryan, he now owns the Falcons season record. That was his 32nd TD pass, had been tied with Steve Bartkowski. And the Buccaneers will take it out at the 20 with the lead of 5.
Let's take a look at that touchdown. They've got what they call a bunch route. Now Anthony Gator, they go to the flat. He's got to go to the flat. He doesn't. They played great pass defense today. You make a little mistake, Matt Ryan will find it. And Greg Schiano has a little word with Anthony Gator on the sidelines. That's your man, son. Take him. He lets him have it right about here. That drive looked more like the Atlanta Falcon offense I've been watching all season.
So there it is, the franchise record, 32 touchdown passes in a season. 1st and 10 at the 20 for Tampa Bay, and here is Josh Freeman trying to find a target and throws it away. No one was open. Luke Stocker was the intended receiver there. Remember, the last time these teams played, Greg Schiano's club lost by a point, missed long field goal. They had their chances. They had a great opportunity going. With 11 minutes left, they were up by 3. They had the ball at the Atlanta 35, couldn't get it done. Falcons have won the close games all year at home. And of course, the Bucs have not
Remember Matt Ryan, 5 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter. 4 in his career against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's beat them in the fourth before.
Second down and 10, and here is Martin. And Martin brings it out to the 23, Weatherspoon, after a pickup of 4. So that was the first of what had been 5 straight losses for Tampa Bay.
Really the pivotal game. You think that game goes the other way. What could be for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Certainly. Atlanta went one way, they went the other way. And Tampa's tried to learn from that. They've tried to emulate this team. They've done a nice job of it today. Can they hold on?
Can they close? And that's something that the Falcons have used to their advantage all year. 3rd down and 6. Freeman. And pass is ruled a catch by Vincent Jackson. He has made 2 tough catches on low throws, John, today, and this was critical.
He has. Not an accurate throw here by Josh Freeman. He makes it tough on him. But Vincent Jackson goes down and helps him. Got control of that football. Wow. Talk about a game of inches, and what tremendous concentration. Toughest catch in football is that low ball, because guys' eyes don't tend to go down. Looked like he was playing shortstop right there, Dick.
First down at the 31. Doug Martin. And Martin picks up 5 yards, and for a game break, here's Kurt Menefee.
Well, of course, Atlanta has the #1 seed, and America's game of the week could determine the #2 seed in the NFC. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, with a win, would grab that #2 spot. Adrian Peterson, the Vikings, with a win, will simply grab a playoff spot. No yet. He could set the rushing mark in that game as well. It's America's game of the week, and you guys are done down there in Atlanta, Dick and John.
All right, Kurt, thank you very much. And now it's a 2-point game. The Bears leading the Lions 26-24 with 6.5 to play in the 4th. 2nd down and 6 here. And here is Martin again, and Martin goes nowhere. It's a stone wall led by Stephen Nicholas. So 3rd down coming up for the Buccaneers. And this is what the fiber of this Atlanta Falcon team has been all about. Coming from behind. Remember the Carolina game here that we did earlier in the year. Huge comeback for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Mike Nolan talked about this situation right here, Dick. He's disappointed in his team's 3rd down production throughout the season. They've got to be better. Let's see if they can do it right here.
3rd down and 6. Freeman's pass. And it's incomplete. And it wouldn't have been a first down even had Williams caught it. Dominique Franks defending. He would have been a yard short had he grabbed it. So it'll be 4th down and they'll kick.
This is just excellent coverage by Dominique Franks. Pressed in to duty here today with Dante Robinson going out, and that's tight coverage. Mike Williams got to bring that. He would have been short anyways, but really good coverage by Dominique Franks.
Kanan will be kicking, and Douglas goes back for the Falcons, who trail by 5. Beautiful kick by Kanan, setting Douglas back inside his 10. Turning the corner, and does what he can to get close to the 20-yard line, and may have even surpassed it. 55-yard punt by Kanan.
Dick, we saw it a little bit on that last drive, but this is what the offense of Atlanta's looked like the entire season. We talked about the more aggressive approach. That was 3rd and 1 at Detroit. Matt Ryan holding people with his eyes down the field. Roddy White the first time. This time Julio Jones can't place it any better. And then the future Hall of Famer Tony Gonzalez. People draped all over him, throwing it to him in coverage, trusting him. That's the big three as they call it. And Matt Ryan delivers it as well as anyone.
And he will start from the 19 with his team trailing by 5. Screen out to Rodgers. Rodgers tackled immediately by Michael Bennett. 3-yard gain. Falcons have all 3 timeouts remaining. The Buccaneers have 2.
Dick, certain teams just have an ability to hang in a game, and then they have the ability to close. We talked to Matt Ryan about these fourth quarter situations. He said the first thing is just get that first down. That's his first thought process. And
going underneath to Rodgers, and David is there preventing the first down, but it'll be a short yardage situation coming up for the Falcons. 3rd and short, 6-yard pickup there. Rodgers has 8 catches for 50 yards today, and he's gained 28 on the ground as well.
But here it is. He's got an opportunity at it. That first down. He said that's the critical part of a fourth quarter game-winning drive.
3rd down and 1, and caught by Gonzalez for the first down. And David on him. I was about to ask you why Michael Turner wasn't in the game at 3rd and 1. Yeah, they ran the play too fast.
Well, I'll tell you what else works. When in doubt, throw it to Tony. I don't care how old he is. He's going to catch the football. Great strip effort by Levante David, but Tony Gonzalez right there.
And going deep, Roddy White. And Roddy White with Leonard Johnson defending. White wasn't going to be able to catch that one, and taking a shot there was Matt Ryan, bringing up 2nd and 10 from the 33.
Well, when I asked Matt Ryan about that mindset in the fourth quarter, he talked about the first down. Then he said it's about understanding situations. And next he said it's about being aggressive. I've got trust in my receivers that if I throw it deep, it's going to be their ball or no one's ball. There's a perfect example. You like that aggressiveness that Matt Ryan continues to show.
2nd down and 10. 2nd and 10. Ryan under pressure, and Biggers fighting Julio Jones for the ball. And now it'll bring up 3rd and 10. Good pressure by Daquan Bowers. You remember what Schiano told us yesterday as we see that last scramble.
Joel McCoy looked like a Pro Bowler right there. Just ran right over Cons, and Matt Ryan does a great job of extending the play, but then constant pressure. Daquan Bowers, this is what they're hoping for in Tampa, that these guys, Bowers coming back healthy, that he can become a force at the defensive end position.
3rd down and 10 from the 33. 2:11 remaining in the fourth quarter, down by 5. Here's Matt Ryan's pass, and incomplete, and it's Douglas defended by Anthony Gator. So Gator comes through after a tongue lashing on that last touchdown by the Falcons.
And this is about as tight as coverage as you can have. Matt Ryan delivers a strike. Gives Harry Douglas an opportunity to catch the football, but he's so locked up with Gator, he can't get his hands down there.
So it is now 4th down and 10, and they're going to go for it here. Remember what Greg Schiano said in talking about the Falcons. He says they let other people lose games. Right now, that's not been the case for Tampa Bay. Let's see what happens here on 4th and 10. Ryan knocked down, and a great play on Gonzalez made by Mark Barron. And the Buccaneers will take over on downs with 2:02 to go. And an elated sideline for the Bucs. They're not out of the woods yet, however.
And you think this isn't big for Mark Barron, a guy that some people have been critical of, a high draft pick, hasn't been making a ton of plays, to go into the offseason with that in your mind? The greatest tight end that ever lived, and you just broke up a 4th and 10 play. Big time by Mark Barron.
And here's how Matt Ryan looked at it. And 4th and 10, and now the Bucs, with 2:02 to go, will take over on the 33-yard line. Falcons have 3 timeouts remaining, and at the conclusion of our game here, we'll bring you to the conclusion of that important game in Detroit between the Bears and the Lions. And the Bears are leading 26-24. They need to win to stay alive. Play action for Freeman. And Williams did not have his feet in bounds. A flag is down, however. Chris Hope defending Williams downfield. A flag at the 15.
They had 12 on the field. Asante Samuel doesn't get off the field.
Defense 12 men, 5-yard penalty, repeat first down. That is a 2-minute warning.
2-minute warning. And we're going to send you over to the Bears-Lions game as soon as this game is over. The Bears leading 26-24, clinging to the lead with 2:49 to go in the fourth. Victory for them, and then they need the Packers to beat the Vikings coming up next in America's Game of the Week. 1st and 5. And here is Martin. First down for Martin. Doug Martin still on his feet. What a brilliant run inside the 5. Before Dent finally brings him down. Martin with 24 on this play.
You said it. Brilliant. And that's what this kid's been his rookie year. He's been brilliant. And what a day for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to close this out. Now, Dick, at the halftime, I said about the Atlanta Falcons, not critical that they win this game. Their seed's locked in. Critical that they play better. I think they did that in the second half. I think they feel good. The big concerns are the injuries. Is John Abraham going to be all right? Is Dante Robinson? Without those two, it's going to be real tough for them.
Especially Abraham. I mean, not to diminish the other, but Abraham is huge. Here is Doug Martin, and Martin is dropped for a loss of 1 by Thomas Deku. And an ankle injury is the report to John Abraham, and that's going to be topic number 1 after this game. Well, right now we'd like to thank the best technical team in the NFL who made these games look and sound great each week, and our hats off to them. John, our technical producer Joe Stevens, and our technical director Dane Crawford. Keith Darnellis is our senior video engineer. We've got some great cameramen which will tell you who they are. 2nd down and goal with less than a half a minute to go. And the handoff is to Martin, and Martin goes down. Jasper Barone, Dan Quinn, Andy Stever on cameras. Nicky Franklin, or Nick Franklin, I should say. He'll get me for that. And Matt Weber on videotape. And our Fox box operator, Josh Weingrad. Justin Galitas, our graphics operator. Aaron Kuhn, Sports Vision, Yellow Line guy. Zach Baer and Rick Newstreet, audio technicians who capture the sounds of the game. Thanks to Bill Garrity, Rick Odioso, Brian Dwyer, and to you, John Lynch. You were great. A joy to work with, and Jennifer Hale as well.
Thank you, Dick. Stop.
Final score, the Bucs end the 5-game losing streak, beat the Falcons 22-17. Right now, let's send it to Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles.